Hey everyone, the trader investor here, and in this video I just want to go over what the futures are doing and preparing for tomorrow morning, the cash market hours. As the cash market opens for the week on Monday, I want to set myself up for some trading opportunities and take a look at where we are. And also you will notice in today's video, as I start with the ES, we have a gap down. Last week, this is the hourly chart. Last week we ended the week on a down note. The last 2 hours were down bars, bearish bars, and we gapped down today. So this is one of the reasons why on my short-term option positions, I don't like to hold over the weekend, because I don't know what the weekend has in store. I don't know what politically or economically, what kind of news comes out, what the markets will do. So I like to be flat for those short-term positions. Long-term swing positions, stop positions for long-term, I'm not looking at exiting those. So here, what we have is we have a down day. We have this gap. So I'm expecting price at some point to fill this gap, and it could continue down or it could just continue up, because this is overnight, right? This is during low volume hours, and you'll see when you look at the volume, very low volume, right? So this is not something that scares me. This is not something that says, wow, bad things are about to happen, but it's still a down day. There's a gap, so we might be able to close this gap. However, closing that gap is not a requirement. I just want to be ready. So I'm just looking at this to see what are my opportunities. My opportunities are, if there's a close of this gap here, then when the markets open tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Pacific time, 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, if this happens, or if we continue to go down and during cash market hours we have this. Of course, this drawing here is exaggerated. I'm not expecting price to come down this low, just to show you how exaggerated this is, because what we are seeing is price is respecting this low here. Price is respecting this low. It faked out and reversed. Even traders who are trading the Sunday hours, because it's already Monday for them in some parts of the world, they could go short and be trapped in here. So I want everyone to be careful there. But more importantly is we're holding this area, and price could reverse from here. And if we look at the daily, that's the more important one. And I want to identify, I usually do this on the SPY, so that's why you haven't seen me do it on here yet. But if we want to identify a couple of order blocks where price has gone down before it went up significantly, this wild move to the upside, and then another one here, another one here, so another one there, and then I'll just do one more in the ES right here. So we have these three order blocks that we are contending with. So it is possible for price to come down, but it's going to take 1 or 2 days, unless we have some very drastic bad news that has a 1 day very unusual bar like this, high to low 38.53 to 37, so 150 point move just in 1 day. Unless we get a big day like that, I'm not expecting any wild moves. It could go down. This could be a sign of weakness coming up, and price could stair step its way down into this order block. And here's where we will find a very nice entry. Of course, we have multiple strategies we will use while we wait for this to happen, but our good entries are always at order blocks. These are our best entries. And switching back to the hourly then, just to see what opportunities could exist, we have this gap. Are we going to fill this gap and play to the upside, or are we going to fill this gap and reject it and play to the downside? That's what we will look at when the markets open tomorrow. So just real quick, if we go over the other futures, like in the NASDAQ, same story. We have a gap down. However, in the NASDAQ, there is no testing of recent lows. There's testing of some areas of support somewhere in this area here. We haven't come down that far, but we're kind of testing those areas. We have some double bottom here. This for me is a big area of liquidity. It's a big area of liquidity where people who have gone long at these positions, they still have some stops here. People who wait for this bounce to happen, they will have some stops here. So I see this as a good entry for liquidity. And if we go back out, we're slowly grinding our way up, but we are consolidating in this zone. And that consolidation coincides also with RTY consolidating. Same thing, we are consolidating here in this zone, and we're expecting either a terminal shakeout here and price reverses, or it could be a distribution. If that's the area, we have a UTAD, meaning upthrust after distribution and price collapses. So both of these scenarios are still playable, and we don't know until we get there, and we are in no hurry to decide that's what we want to do. So this could be test, this could be test. We have yet to see it. In the middle of consolidation, I'm not taking any sides. I'm patiently waiting for price to tell me what it wants to do. I'm waiting for area of value. And of course, when we come to a support, there could be a fake outs. So let's always be careful. We might have a break that will wipe out these stops, and then also people who have gone long here, who have stops here, this will also take out their stops. So this bar takes out the stops for these folks, and then this stop takes out the spot for these folks. So everyone would be careful here, because this is a mitigation. This is a manipulation area. So once price is manipulated, I'm ready to go, and I have my decision, and I will wait for a break of structure in the hourly to enter the trade. So always be on the lookout when we've all been there. We come to an area of value, a support or resistance, we enter, and a few bars down the road, the price has gone in our favor, but not before we are stopped out. And we have to ask ourselves, why are we stopped out? Why was that a wrong entry? It was a wrong entry because we did not have the patience to wait for manipulation. Price has to be manipulated before we enter. And once we understand that manipulation, once liquidity clears manipulation, we can enter. We have to patiently wait for liquidity to be cleared. So somewhere here in this zone is liquidity, because price came down, bounced, and it could come down and bounce. As it comes down and bounces, because we've been there a couple of times, there might be some liquidity left here. So that's why this area of consolidation, whether it's distribution, accumulation, redistribution, reaccumulation, it doesn't matter which side it is, we have to be patient for price to tell us what it wants to do. So the real thing will come, our E1 entry would be terminal shakeout, and then a retest of this zone and price continues. So this area here is a good E1 entry. Of course, there are safer entries up higher. Now, if we say no, this is distribution, and the way we know this is distribution is price will break that and come back into that area and boom here and continue its way down, and this now becomes E1 on the downside. So this is how I want to be very careful in waiting for this signals to trigger. I don't want to be trading in the middle here because I don't know which way the market is going. I mean, even when I enter here, I don't know which way the market is going, but my odds here are stacked in my favor. I have an edge when this happens. I don't have any edge here. I don't know if this movement here is this. I have no idea of knowing this because nothing is telling me from a technical perspective this is what's happening. Because I'm looking at the daily and hourly. When you go down to lower time frames, you might be able to see some break of structure that you can pull the trigger on. But my style of trading and what I want to teach everyone is not to be glued to charts. To be able to come do your study 1 hour at night, pull the trigger during the day, at most spend half an hour during the day. That's really what I want you to do. We set alerts. Those alerts brings us back to the charts. So we don't even have to spend half an hour during the day because we've done all our homework the night before. We know where our triggers are. So for me, my alerts will be in these two areas. When price comes down here, I want an alert. When price comes up here, I want an alert. And once I get those alerts, I'm ready to go. So then let's look at the YM. YM, I don't see a gap, but it's been really a down day, right? It's been just coming down last couple of days. And I mean, there's very small gap, but this is practically no gap, right? Because we kind of filled that gap. So if we look at that, the only thing that we see here so far on the hourly basis, we have this imbalance. So because we have that imbalance, it is possible, let me erase all of this old ones. It is possible for price to at least test the 50% of that imbalance and continue its way down. So this is what I want to see in the morning for a good entry. Because what this does is, for me, it will help me put a stop right above here and enter when this happens and I see the reversal. Maybe we get a pin bar, a graveyard stone, doji, gravestone. I call it a graveyard doji or a gravestone doji, which is basically this, or it could be this, something like this. So an inverted hammer. So the naming doesn't matter, but when I get confused, I look to this chart. I have a chart here and it says gravestone doji is what it's called. Sometimes I even get confused in this naming. So for me, I don't care about what the name is. I care about understanding that pattern. And I do understand this pattern. So if I see that here, it's a rejection at this 50%, then I can enter and have this stop. And my next target is somewhere here. So at least 2 to 1 target, and even further down the road for my next lots, right? So the second 50% of my position. So all of this to say, right now, we're just preparing. Today's exercise is just preparing for Monday's open. Looking at futures, what are they telling us what Monday looks like? They're not saying much. They're saying we have a down day, but not big gaps, right? Because they're not big gaps, it's not air to be concerned much. Very little to be concerned with. Some small gaps, and we could potentially fill those gaps. And you'll see this imbalance. You'll see it in all of them. In all of them, there's some imbalance, and that imbalance could close overnight. When I'm not awake, I am not trying to be awake all night. And in the NQ, it's very, very close to closing it. I just didn't like that drawing. I always struggle having this become a straight line. That's not a straight line. Sorry about that. I just like to have it as straight as possible. That's a straight line. And so here's the imbalance, but NQ has already closed this imbalance. Of course, it's Sunday. I want to do options. Cash market is when I can do options. Plus, I don't want to monitor this trade. I'm just doing this video to prepare for tomorrow morning. So I'm not entering any position based on this imbalance being taken care of. That's not what I want to do. And besides the NQ, all others have not closed that imbalance yet. So they have still some room to go. So if the market continues to play here, and then when the cash market opens and we get a rejection at this imbalance, then boom, I can enter. For now, I'm just patiently waiting to see what happens. So this is the recap of what the futures are doing, and we will come back early morning to assess where we are at and how the markets are going to open. The first 30 minutes will give us a good guidance where the markets will open. We will look at our 15 minutes opening range to see where the strength is. So everyone, have a fantastic Sunday evening if it's evening for you. A fantastic morning for those of you who are already in your Monday. And please continue to like all of my videos as a way to tell me, hey, keep making us more videos. We like what you're doing. So don't forget to click the thumbs up and like this video. Thanks everyone. Take care.